All right, this is a story I was originally was going to talk about late last night, but I didn't have enough time to do so. I'm doing that pre-recording because I felt that this need to be talked about, especially after what has happened, especially after the national attention has gotten. But basically, from hearing the story, I'm not surprised on one hand, but then again, I'm also shocked in the other. And I'll explain as I go along. But basically, the story in the sentence here is in the main article says sentence UK drug gang grand to death. And it also says here a 56-year-old British grandmother was sentenced to death for smuggling cocaine into the Indonesian islands of Bali. Now, I just want to make this very clear here that this is not shocking, this is not surprising, and even the United States, certain states in certain areas do have similar laws giving death penalties to kingpins who is like the main source of the drugs or where it's coming from. If you are a person who is supplying the drugs in certain states, there's a possibility you may get the death penalty in that state. It has happened before. It was reported about a guy who was fighting it tooth and nail because he didn't kill nobody. He didn't order a hit on nobody, but because of their no nonsense drug policies in that state, he was very very close to getting executed. Eventually, Bill Clinton have removed that death sentence. He reduced that sentence, and instead he got life imprisonment, which he still, I believe, is fighting right now. This was a very, very serious thing. I believe Oklahoma had it, uh, and it was very, very hot topic issue because um, this was actually technically um, an issue where you didn't have to kill nobody to get the death penalty. You just have to be pretty much involved in some kind of drug smuggling, and that's all they need to sentence you to death. Some states still have similar laws like that in the table. It's hard to tell whether or not they actually implemented that law, implemented that rule or that sentence. But this has happened in the United States before. So hearing it in other countries, it definitely doesn't shock me. In fact, other countries are really very strict in drug smuggling. China's one of them. There was a big incident with two young girls visiting that country. They got sentenced to a harsh sentence. This had media attention. This was actually made into a movie at one point, but it also shows just how these situations always seems to rise up, um, especially when other countries and how they deal with people smuggling drugs within their borders. That's not surprising. Again, doesn't shock me. What shocks me about this is the fact that the prosecutioners, the guys who were prosecuting this woman, did not ask for the death penalty. Instead, they recommended 15 years in prison. The judge did not go for that. In fact, the judge had found her legally guilty of importing narcotics and sentenced the defendant to death. The Indonesian police said she was in the center of the importing ring involving three other people, Britons, and India, who has also been arrested. The Sandiford argued that she was forced into transportation for 4.79 kilos of cocaine in order to protect her children, whose safety was at stake, and the prosecutor had commended uh, a lengthy sentence, but the court ruled that she had not admitted to a crime and had damaged Indonesia's hardline stance on drugs as well as Bali's reputation um, for tourism destination. This was of course, her attorney said that we object to the sentence, and we never expected that our client will be giving the death penalty. We will discuss it first with her. Most likely, we will appeal. Stanford is spectacle and with her hair tied back, head hung low, turned pale and cried as the verdict was read out, while her sister Harriet Princeton, who attended the trial, also sobbed. The court rejected the argument that Stanford had acted to protect her children and said there was no uh, no circumstances to allow her leniency. Her actions, this is what exactly what the judge said. Her actions was against the government's effort to combat drug use in the country, and she insisted that she never committed a crime, said the other judge. There was actually two judges. What the defendant has done could tarnish Bali's image as a tourist destination, he added. The British human rights charity Reprieve said last month that Sandiford was exploited by drug traffickers and target her because she was uh, a viability and her fear for safety for children. Britain Junior Foreign Minister Hugo Swift said that Tuesday we strongly object to the death penalty and continue to provide counsel assistance to Lindsay and her family during this difficult time. He told Parliament that it was understandable that Sandiford has at least two further avenues of appeal and that the opportunity to apply for presidential clemency if those failed. The two other Britain arrested in connection with the case received life sentence last month. Interesting. Rachel Dollar was sentenced to 12 months for failing to report Sandiford's crime, and Paul, I can't get his name, police received 4 years imprisonment for 3.6 grams of hyenas, but was cleared of drug trafficking. The fourth, Julian Ponda, is expected to hear his sentences at the end of the month after prosecutors recommend 7-year jail term. The Indonesian enforced staff penalties for drug trafficking. Indonesia enforced stiff penalties for drug trafficking, but death penalty sentences is commonly committed for long jail sentencing. The criminal law experts for the University of Indonesia said that although the severe penalty shocked the defense, the prosecution's light recommendation was more surprising. The law was regulated that the maximum penalty for such crime is death, so the question should be why the prosecutor did not ask for a maximum penalty, he told the AFP. Two members of the Australian drug smuggling gang known for Bali's 9 were arrested in 2005 are currently on death row, while the seventh faces lengthy jail term. The Frenchman has been on death row since 2007. Execution for Indonesia are carried out by firing squad, usually at night, in isolated, undisclosed location. The last one was in June 2008 when two Nigerian drug traffickers were shot. And that's pretty much the story. I'll leave a link so you can see it entirely, but there's a lot of questions to be had here. And again, I think this is more sending a message to anyone who tries to do it in their country. Again, just hearing between the words, she never admitted to a crime. They're not buying that the fact she was doing it to protect her children. The fact is that they felt that she made a mockery out of their laws, and the fact is it's going to hurt tourism. So all this is playing into the factor of the decision. The question, my thing is, it's kind of surprising that the death penalty was never asked, yet the judge did it. So again, this is like them saying a method was telling a message, especially since the prosecutor never really said anything about the death penalty, never really asked for it. Again, he asked for 15 years, and apparently the judge just said, the hell with this. This woman is not even admitting her crime. Why should we be sympathetic? Let's give it a death penalty, and that's about it. And you know what? That's the thing that really bothers me the most. Is the fact is that there's a lot of things you're hearing. You're hearing that on one side her family could be and it was in great risk. And before I go on to say, there has been recorded cases that this actually happened. There has been documented cases. So I'm not going to sit there and say she's lying. The question I have to ask is that was there any proof that they proved that she was lying? Was there anything that that states that she was telling the truth? Did they actually do any further investigation? These are the things I want to know as more important than anything else. But to me, the more I read about this, the more I hear about it, the more I keep feeling that these judges who decided wanted to make a statement. They wanted to send a clear message, and she was the one they wanted to send a clear message. And they used the fact that she never admitted to anything, the fact that they wronged on the tourist situation, which I don't know how much did it actually really affect tourism. There's no actual numbers. I do not believe they actually have the actual numbers of our action affecting tourism. If anything, there will probably have to be like a large demographic of drug trafficking to actually give a clear-cut picture of what happened before, during, and after. But for me, they was using all this excuse on her to give her this sentence, and that's pretty much it. It's a political. It's pretty much making a statement and nothing else. Because they could have easily just given her 15 years. They could have even gave her 20 years. But the fact they gave her the death penalty is a little bit wow. That was big. So I don't know what they're going to do. They said that she has avenues for appeal. I'm pretty much sure she's going to appeal. I would say that she may win the appeal, but I don't know how the appeal process works over there. I do not have any clue of how that process works over there. For all we know, they could drag this out. It could be months. It could be years. Who knows? Keep in mind, the last person that was actually executed for something similar was in 2008. We're now in 2013. So who knows what can happen throughout those years. One thing is definitely certain, and this is something that I think everybody should take in mind of. Be careful what you do in other people's countries, because if you do something that's against their rules, they have no tolerance for it. They will punish you. They will go after you. This is perfect proof of that. This is something that other countries do not play games with. That's not the United States. It's not the UK. You got to be mindful that other countries got different rules, and especially if you're a tourist, they don't have tolerance for it. They don't have tolerance for other people, especially those who don't even live in their country, to come up there and break their rules. It's just not going to go down. They're very, very strict on that. They're more stricter than a lot of other countries combined. Many people don't realize that just by leaving the airport, you're already on suspicion. So this is something that sounds very, very unfortunate. But again, it goes to show that the tolerance level for other countries is just not there. They're just not there. And if they can use you to make a political statement of any kind, they're gonna do it. No ends or buts. You guys may have your own opinion on this. I'd like to hear your opinion on it. I will leave a link below. You guys can read the story in its fullest. Please, by all means, comment on it. I'd like to know what your opinion on this matter. But until then, this is Jason McSeven saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.